All right, welcome back, everyone. Glad to see you. If you like this type of content, stay tuned. Today, we're going to be discussing term versus whole life insurance. So with that being said, let's jump into it. So first thing is, what are the actual purposes of these insurances? Now, to break it down simply, the basic needs of these are, if you pass away prematurely, this is an amount of money that your family would get paid, or your beneficiary that you choose to receive that amount. So for example, you can choose the amount of coverage and the amount of years. So that's going to affect your what they call premium. So your premium is your monthly payment towards that amount. You can pay the premiums yearly, which typically results in a little bit of a cheaper premium amount, like typically like a 10-15% discount. Check with your different provider though. In this video, we're going to see the difference between term and whole life insurance. Now, super sweet. I have some very exciting details in this video, so make sure you stay until the end. And to be honest, what I personally have doesn't necessarily mean what's best for you. And so you need to decide based on these criterias, and after meeting with a professional, what you would actually need for you and your family to feel protected. Number one, what is term life insurance? Term life insurance is temporary coverage. So it says it in the name, basically term, provides coverage for a specific period of time. So typically people choose either a 10-year, a 20-year, a 30-year. And the reason for this is it's not used as an investment vehicle. It's used as while you're younger, so in your 20s or 30s, and while you're building up your assets, having children. This is a time where if there was a sudden loss of life, it would be catastrophic, or it could be a very not so good thing to happen. So the whole goal for term is if you're a little bit older in your life, let's say I shouldn't say a little older. If you're in your 40s and all your kids are going to be moving out within the next 10 years, that might be a reason to choose the 10-year option. If your kids are going to be moving out in 20 years, maybe you pick the 20 years. Or maybe you just want the maximum amount of life insurance until, just to feel more safe. And so you get to choose the term. From there, the longer term you do, typically the cheaper it gets, just because it's obviously prorated over time. And it is worth noting that the younger you get the actual insurance, the lower your premium is going to be. So if you're in your 20s or even your 30s, this is a great thing to consider, especially if you're negative in debt or if you're just building up your net worth and there's a sudden loss of life. It could be very catastrophic to your family to continue to protect themselves, especially if you were the main breadwinner and the main household income earner. Term life insurance, point number two, is lower premiums. So typically with term, there are lower premiums. They are a little bit more affordable than permanent life insurance. Flexibility. So you can adjust to fit specific needs for your budget for term insurance. So it's typically less one size fits all. So this provides you coverage for essentially your entire life. Now, do I think you need that? Like, definitely not. But that's completely up to you and when you meet a professional. And then there's the cash value. So this builds cash over time within the insurance policy, which can be accessed or borrowed against. So these do have provisions against it. So you have to check with who you're obviously with for your provider. And the thing about it is if you look at a cash value, typically for the first 6, 7, 8 years, you don't actually have any cash value. So even though you're paying into it, it's kind of like their commission up front. And this is a big reason why I'm against whole life and permanent insurance, is because you don't actually need to be paying them that amount. You should be investing in your Roth and your 401k and a normal registered account anyways, instead of paying all that. With that being said, there also is higher premiums. So generally it's more expensive, quite a bit more expensive, 3 to 4 times more expensive than term insurance. And by the way, let me know what insurance you have down below, just as like a good way to see what the viewers have and what you guys think of both. So typically the different types of permanent are whole life, or offers fixed premiums and a guaranteed cash value, growth, universal life, which is provides flexibility to adjust premiums and death benefits. And then choosing the right one, it's dependent on these ton of factors. So the best types of life insurance, it depends on your individual needs and financial situation. So consider the following factors. So budget, how much can you afford to spend on premiums per month? If you can afford a little bit more, it doesn't necessarily you need a little bit more. Term insurance typically does the trick. Coverage needs. So how much coverage do you actually need to protect your loved ones? Do you need $250,000 if you die? Because if you make $50,000 a year, that's only really like 5 years of income. Or do you need more in the frame of $500,000? That would give you around 10 years. Or are you expecting to get raises and maybe you should get up to $1 million just to make sure you're safe? These are all things that you need to talk to with your loved ones, make sure you're on the same page, and get this information from the person who you're working with. The person who you're working with should be very open with all the options so you can make an educated decision. This is not a small decision in your life, protecting your family and your loved ones in case of a very tragic incident. You should also look at your financial goals. So do you need a policy that builds up cash? And do you have like a hard time, obviously, saving and investing? Or can you just invest on your own and then just get term insurance? Risk tolerance. So you're comfortable with the risk associated with investing inside of an account that has lots of rules with it? Or would you rather just invest on your own again, where you have flexibility and you can manage that on your own? These are all things to consider when actually choosing between term and whole life insurance. Now, obviously for myself, I 100% think term is way better for the reasons I've said above. But if you guys want to learn more about this, definitely reach out to someone in your area that is a life insurance agent. Don't try to get swindled by them. Like, the biggest thing is just understanding the world that we live in there's protection that you need, and then there's like overboard. And so if you make $200,000 a year, it's going to be different than if you make 50 grand a year. And you need to make sure that you understand those options before you make the decision. Or if you enjoyed this content, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and check out this video right here. See you guys.